Hello again, and in this video we are going to start looking at if statements in Java. So if statements are sometimes called conditional statements, sometimes selection statements, and they're sometimes called if then else statements. So we'll have a quick look at how we can handle if statements. So just going to run through just a couple of examples just now. So as always, I am going to right click on my source directory and create a new class called main. And as always, just going to create a new public static void main methods just in our code as always. And yep, we're ready to start learning about if statements. So just a couple of notes to do with if statements. So if statements can allow us to make decisions, the support for decision making in our code. Okay, so we can actually use if statements to make our code follow a different path depending on whether a certain condition is met or not. So basically, whether a certain condition is true or not. So in other words, an if statement tells your program to take one of two alternative courses of action based on whether a certain condition is true. So for example, if we had a thermostat style program for, say, a heating system, which is exactly the example that we're going to cover in this video. So for example, if the sensor detects that the air temperature is less than 16 degrees, switch on the heating. Okay, so that's our condition. So if the air temperature is less than 16, send a message to the heating system to switch on. So if statements can often be combined with else statements, and they basically support branching or decision making in our code. So for example there, if the air temp is less than 16 degrees Celsius, switch on the heating, else don't switch on the heating. So they're quite logical, and we'll go through the syntax and we'll look at a few examples just to point out that if statements, sometimes called selection statements, sometimes referred to as conditional statements. Okay, so let's have a look at the basic format of an if statement. So the basic format would be if, and then we open round brackets, and then it's our condition. Okay, our condition goes in the bracket. Okay, our condition goes in the bracket. And if the condition is true, we put what we want to happen in the curly brackets, curly braces. Okay, so we would have, yeah, if condition, and then yeah, open brackets, and we just pop in what we want to happen in the brackets. Okay, so I've not actually put any conditions in, so my if statement isn't working particularly well there. Let's try this with an actual example that probably illustrate things a little bit better. So suppose I had a variable, okay, we'll just make it an integer, okay, called air temperature. Okay, air temperature. So it's the ambient temperature um, of the temperature within a room. Okay, so int air temperature. Okay, we'll assign that a value in a moment. Now, what we can say is we can say if the air temperature is less than 16 degrees, okay, what we can do is we can open up our curly brackets. That's working a little bit better now. So we can open up the curly brackets and we can send a message to the screen. Okay, this could just as easily be a system call to some other part of the program to tell, for example, a boiler or a system to turn on, but we'll just send a little message to the screen just now. So system out, print line, we'll say turn on, okay, turn on heating. Okay, so we can actually run this at the moment. So if we just assign the air temperature a value, so we'll make that 17 at the moment. Okay, and nothing is likely to happen at the moment because the air temperature is always going to be false. Okay, so when we run this, we'll not get any outputs in the program should compile, but we won't really get any output as such in the console. What we can do is we can actually add a second if statement. Okay, it's saying if air temperature is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, we can say system out okay, heating is currently turned off. Okay, so let's run this a moment and we'll see what happens in our outputs. Okay, so the heating is currently turned off because the air temperature is currently set to 17. Okay, if we were to change this to 16, so the temperature has dropped slightly, it should be that the heating is turned off still. So what we want to do is actually change this to less than or equal to 16. Okay, and that should give us a result now. The heating should be turned on. So the heating is turned on. So I'm just going to change that message actually to the heating is turned on. Okay, so just to be a little bit more clear there. So yeah, so let's run this again. So it's 16 degrees. Okay, and we are getting both the heating is turned on and the heating is turned off. So this is a logical error. Okay, this is a logical error in our code. The problem here is that at the moment the air temperature is currently set to 16, but we're saying that if the air temperature is less than or equal to 16, turn the heating on, and we're also saying if the air temperature is greater than or equal to 16, turn the heating off. So we're getting what's called a logical error in our code at the moment. So we could easily fix that just by saying if the temperature is greater than 16, the heating is turned off, and that would be fine. That would solve that. But the other thing you can do to fix this type of issue is just to, rather than have two separate if statements, is just to make one of them an else. Okay, so what we can say instead is if the air temperature is less than 16, okay, so we want it to spring into action when it goes below 16, the temperature, then we can send the message the heating is turned on, or switch on the heating. And what we can do is we can also change the second the second if statement to an else statement instead. Okay, so logically this is a bit of a solution. Although there's lots of different things you could do here. Okay, so let's run this now. So the heating is currently turned off, okay, and that's fine because it's only if the temperature goes below 16 that we want the temperature to turn, or the heating to turn on, okay. So if we change the air temperature to 15, okay, um, let's run our program now just to observe what happens. The heating is turned on. So we've set the air temperature variable to 15, and we've got our conditional statement, which is an if-else statement, which basically says if the air temperature is less than 16, then we'll send the message the heating is turned on. Else, system out print line, the heating is turned off. Okay, and now we're just sending little messages to the screen at the moment. In a fuller, okay, more advanced program than this, this could easily just be a function call. It could be a function call to maybe a boiler system to spring into action or to switch on when the air temperature falls to a certain level. So just one other thing as well is we've set the air temperature to 15, which is fine. What we could actually do is we could extend this program a little bit and possibly bring in the scanner class, for a little bit of user input. So we can do that as well. So what we could do here is import the scanner. Okay, so the Java scanner is a utility which you can import. And what we'll say here is we'll invoke the scanner class. So scanner equals new scanner, as always. So that's for system input. Okay. And we'll ask the user via the console to enter the current air temperature. So we could say system out print line, and we'll just say please enter current air temperature. Okay, please enter the current air temperature. And we could assign air temp basically just the input of whatever the person keys in at the scanner at that point. So we can say int air temperature, and we'll assign that the value of scanner next integer. Okay, so basically the next integer that's keyed in at the keyboard will be stored by the scanner into the air temperature variable, and then our if else statements. Okay, so if the air temperature is less than 16, we'll have the message indicating that the heating is currently turned on. Else we'll have a message indicating that the heating is currently turned off. So let's just run this little project now just to have a look. Okay, so the current air temperature is 22. Okay, and the heating is turned off. Okay, because it's only if the temperature falls below 16. So let's run that again. And this time there's been a bit of a drop in the air temperature, and it's currently 14 degrees C. Okay, so we'll enter that, and the heating is turned off because 14 is obviously less than 16. Okay, so we'll be doing a lot more work with if statements and selection over the course of this video course. And yeah, I think we'll probably leave that there for now. There's a basic if statement and if else statement, which we've combined alongside some scanner inputs to develop a small thermostat style program. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, I hope that was useful, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.